All right, so we're going to get started with this online tour session. This session and this series of sessions is designed for people that are thinking about taking classes this fall at Spokane Falls Community College or at Spokane Community College, but aren't sure what online classes are really like. They're curious what they look like, how they work, how they're structured. They might have some questions that they want to ask about how this works. So that's why we're doing these sessions. So we'll go ahead and start with Professor Ursula Heflick. And Ursula, if you would like to share your screen and say hello, and I'll turn it all over to you.
So I'm Ursula Heflick, and I'm faculty in the Integrated Community Services program. All right, so this is one of the classes, and I'll try to time myself a little bit, that I teach that actually can be quite challenging to teach online, because this is a counseling technique class. So I have to teach students how to do counseling while we are never in the same room. And counseling really very much relies on personal interaction. So I converted this class into a pure online class and taught it in the spring. It actually worked extremely well. And I have a format for all my classes. I followed this format for this one here too. I always have a table, what looks like a table on the homepage of a class, so that students can right off the bat see the subject matter that's covered. And students can then click on the pictures or the title in this box here, /table, or they can just click on modules. But before, no, I'll just do that. Okay, let me just go into one of these modules here, and this one covers cognitive behavioral therapy, rational emotive behavior therapy, behavior modification, classic counseling techniques. And what students then find on those pages that are hidden behind those tiles are the resources, the things to read, a quick intro on why they should be reading this, and then video clips. Okay, and let me see. I also include video clips, for instance, from YouTube. Like here, this video clip from The Joker. I don't know who has seen The Joker, but how not to do counseling. You get some pretty bad outcomes. Not that I blame the counselor in The Joker, but still, okay. And students can then move backwards or forwards in the class to get to assignments, quizzes, whatever it is. Online classes can be very, I think, a little bit disconnected. Like there is a disconnect between what you're supposed to learn, the instructor helping you, coaching you with what you're learning, and also disconnect with your fellow students. So what I've done in this class, and I've continued to do now, is let me go back to my homepage and show you something. For example, there's another counseling technique called motivational interviewing, MI. It's used a lot for addictions. And here I put recordings of students who practiced with me, because I schedule a lot of Zoom meetings that I ask students to attend. Of course, a lot of students have children, jobs, for a variety of reasons. They need a lot of flexibility. But so those students that can make it, I record them with me practicing counseling, and then other students can watch those students do that and learn from basically their mistakes and their successes. Sometimes I put in videos in this class specifically of things going really wrong, and then with the same student, things going very right when they've learned, so that other students can say, oh, I get it. Yeah, so this could happen to me too. So yeah, a lot of Zoom meetings. Also, what I do in online classes, for example, is to keep students on track. I post a lot of announcements, and I'll go here to the left to announcements, and I ask students to please check the announcements, because in online classes, the instructor doesn't have any luxury to just, address random questions or things that come up in the classroom. You somehow have to get it across to the student, and that's what I use announcements for. And I also check emails a lot, and when I see patterns in emails about, for instance, confusion that students have about assignments, or I also see in the assignments that there are mistakes that are being made regularly, I address that again in announcements, or in the future assignments, I just rewrite those or add detail. And I think what's also cool to do in online classes, I do surveys a lot with students, because even students, is it going there, who do very well in online classes might still have some concerns and some barriers that needn't be this high if the instructor knew about them. And those barriers might become obvious in the classroom, but when you run surveys in classes, then you can learn a lot about what students think, and I love it. And those surveys are, as you can see, they are anonymous, and they basically kind of grade the class, grade me, make comments. So I take their pulse in a way. And then I do the same anonymous survey, usually like a pre-post test at the end of the class, to see if things have changed. And that way the online class can be refined. Let me think. I also, in terms of how students can work together, I set up something that students don't always like, but I sometimes set up groups. And so I split up the students. I try to make sure that they are balanced, and then they do group work. This doesn't mean that they have to do an assignment together, but for instance, they might do their individual projects, but they have a team of consultants around them with whom they meet, and usually also on Zoom or just any other platform that allows for meetings. And they can help each other that way. And I notice that really helps classes come together and support each other. In my classes, I tend to add links. Oh yeah, for instance, I put a direct Zoom link to Zoom here in the classroom. I put links to directly to Google portfolios there, to a scheduling page if they want to schedule any appointments with me, individual ones. We don't have to talk back and forth. They can see when I'm available. To peer tutoring, that one is always in the class. And online classes can be pretty satisfying because they allow for flexibility in terms of time. They also, like for instance, in discussion boards, when students are asked to participate in discussions, what's cool online is that the students who might not have an opportunity to speak in the classroom because they are a little bit shy or a little bit slower in raising their hands or just saying what they have to say, in online classes, you tend to get a lot of contribution there. They express their thoughts very freely. And the discussions also help with being, just with getting to know each other. I get to know them, they get to know each other, they get to know me. Yeah, and here on the left, mostly this is all, I always encourage students to click through all these things. You cannot break any of this. But that way they can see in any online class, there are multiple ways on how you can get to an assignment, how to contact people, where to find files. All my files are always online so that they're always accessible. And yeah, the syllabus is there, of course, for orientation. And as I said, always encourage communication, and I make sure that I survey and observe my students and look for patterns of, yeah, when something might go wrong. And also a lot of these assignments are very much projects rather than quizzes, so that I can really assess their thinking. And it also discourages cheating, because you cannot really knock off anybody else's project, and they're more fun. And my program is part of career technical field, so I prepare students to hit the ground running anyhow once they have their degree after 2 years. It's an applied degree.
Brenda, did you want to share your screen and we can look at one of your classes for a few minutes?
All right, so you can see that.
Perfect.
This is the front page of an anatomy and physiology course that I teach. Anatomy and physiology is 2-quarter sequence, and it's taken by students who are going into nursing or into X-ray technology or physical therapy. And so it's a course that a lot of students that are going into health fields have to take. And it's considered to be pretty intimidating to a lot of students. And so the structure of this course, I've just kept it as simple as I possibly can, just for that reason, because the content alone can be so overwhelming that you don't want to have to be struggling to find things. And so this is just the homepage. Again, just starting to build this course for fall. Some of this is still left over from spring, but the first thing you would see is just a video from me introducing myself, and then 20-minute video of how to get through the course and where to find everything. And this is just day one. This is the very first day. And lots of links, to the videos, to the syllabus. There's also an outline that I post every week that walks you through, this is what you need to accomplish this week. These are when the due dates are. So one of those will show up every week. I also ask students to make the homepage their default, so that when they enter Canvas, this is what shows up. And sometimes I will post test questions here. I change this almost every day. And so sometimes I'll post test questions here, or just questions to think about. And so I try to start students here. And then the basis for the course is actually in the module. So let's just take a quick look at those. And the first thing you'll see is the general course information. So the syllabus is there, just tutoring hours, disability support services, tech support, very big deal. It's links located in a couple of places so that you can find those. Exam regulations, because exams are done online, so there's some definite protocol to find. So that's always near the top, so it's easy to find. The weekly outlines, always right there near the top, so you can find that. And then we get into the modules, and the modules, there's one module for every exam. So I try to keep it simple that way. And so for example, this particular module covers the endocrine system, which has to do with hormones, and then blood, just basic features of blood. So we're just starting to get into some of those features here. And so for every chapter or every topic, you will find a study guide. And this is something that I write myself so that students know exactly how to maneuver through the lectures. And I can show you an example of that in just a second. And then there's a lecture outline, which shows all the slides that are part of the videos of the lectures. Scrolling down, you would see the actual lecture video. Before I get to that, you'll also see readings here. And this is just an ebook that's been embedded into the course. Some students like this, some students would rather have a hard copy book. So just a couple of options there. But then the video, this is my lecture video. And you just click on it, you get a bunch of information. Pretty simple to follow. The slides here are the same as they would be in the lecture outlines that I post. So pretty easy. So, and then one feature that is helpful in this is the little next symbol, and I'm not being able to access it right now. Hang on just 1 second. I'm gonna move you over here. The next will take you from that lecture right into a quiz. And so you can test your knowledge based on that lecture. So for every lecture, there's a little practice quiz you can go through. And I was playing with this earlier. You can see I got 2.2 out of 5 on my own quiz. So there's lots of options to take the quiz again. So you can just keep taking the quiz until, until you start to get a good feel for understanding, or if you just aren't getting it, you can watch the lecture again. So it's really nice to have online lectures because of that. All right, and then we go back to the modules. With this course, this is a unique course also because it's got lecture units, so lots of content driven, lots of information about the hormones and lots of information about the blood and lots of readings here you can see, and it just kind of scares the heck out of most people, but it's perfectly doable. A lot of people do it all the time. And then at the end, there's a lot of extras. There's lots of information out there. If a student isn't really getting what I'm saying, there's lots of other people who can say it in a lot of different ways. So Khan Academy, most people know about that. The publishers provided interactive videos that illustrate lots of things. So there's lots of resources out there for understanding lecture, which can be complex. And then we get into lab units. And this is where being an online course has become challenging since spring, and then this fall I'll be teaching this in an online format as well. Instead of people coming to lab, we have had to substitute other activities. And we're managing that fine. We've been able to put together lab kits that we can send to students in their homes to do some activities. There are some simulations that we're able to offer. And a lot of work in this course is looking under the microscope. So we found virtual microscopes so students can do those activities that way, and that seems to work just fine. One of my colleagues, Dr. Schmidt, made some videos of dissections, and so we're able to work with the dissections as well, which can be a really important part of learning how organisms are put together. It's kind of strange, and so to actually see them, see the organs is really helpful. So that's been really good. That was a really helpful thing in the spring, and we're just finding more and more things we can add to our lab component for the fall, since we actually have time to work on it for fall. So and you'll see blood typing game, all kinds of things to look at. The games are there's some really good games out there for learning physiology and anatomy. The physiology is just how things work, by the way, and then the anatomy is just learning all the names of all the parts. So lots of interesting information. And again, with the lab, there's a lot of information. Histology is just looking at different body tissues under the microscope. So Shotgun Histology is a great resource. YouTube guy goes through these microscope slides and describes every part of them. And so just, I guess what I'm saying is there's lots of resources that we're finding and pulling into our courses, so that even though it is a lab course and we can't be in lab, there are still some hands-on things that can be done. Oh, and then the other thing I wanted to just point out that can be really helpful just to the organization of the course is the calendar. This will probably show August, yeah, let's just go. So everything's on the calendar, at least in my course, so you kind of see when things are due. If you click on an exam, it will tell you, well, this one's locked, but everything's locked right now, but it will, typically it will tell you what's part of that exam, what chapters are covered, what do I need to do to study for this. So the calendar is a great resource. And then something else I wanted to mention. I guess that was it. Okay. And then if we go back to this particular course, the grade book, a lot of my students are very concerned about their grades, and everything that's on the calendar is already dumped into the grade book. So they can watch their grades as they go and kind of see what's coming up and calculate their scores based on what they've earned so far. So I think that was all I wanted to point out. Is there anything else you want me to point out while I'm in this course?
I think you did a great job. There is a human instructor present in all of these courses. A long time ago in the distant past, probably before any of our potential students were even alive, there's something called a correspondence course, where a college would mail a book and a worksheet to students far off in the countryside, and the student was completely on their own. They had to read the book, they had to figure it out, they had to write in the workbook, and they mailed it back. And I think some people are worried that an online class is like that, where you're just given all this information and left to your own devices. And that's really not what a good online class is like. There is interaction with the instructor. The instructor is present, is interacting with the students either through discussions or emails or video chats. And they're always accessible when a student has a question or a problem or a concern. And their peers are also present, usually either through these online discussion boards or through video or through both, or even other avenues of communication. So it really is a human experience. It's not just you in an empty room by yourself. And I think it's really important to let people know that. All right, thanks you guys. Karen, I think you're up. Karen Sandall is one of our student success coaches in the e-learning department, and she is a guru of anything students have to deal with. If a student ever has a question, either she knows the answer or she knows where to send you to get the answer. So Karen, take it away.
Hey, thank you. I work with online students, helping them just navigate the business of being a student, really, is how I think about it. And one of the things that I want to talk about right now is just how things that you can do for yourself to get yourself ready to be a successful online student coming into online classes for fall. One of the things that we recommend is that you create a dedicated space for doing your online classes. You want to set aside space inside your home, maybe if you don't have a space inside your home, maybe in your car or something like that. If you need to go to a place to get Wi-Fi, like if you want to drive and park on campus in the parking lot and use the Wi-Fi at school, just make sure that you make a space in where you're doing your studying that is has reduced distractions, so it's not pulling your attention away from learning. Make sure that it's comfortable, someplace that you can sit for a couple of hours without tiring yourself out just from sitting. And then make sure that you're setting rules for yourself and for your family, if your family's around, so that that both you and your family can respect your study time and your school space. If your school space is at home, you'll just need to make sure that that's being respected by yourself and anybody else that's around. Before we get to starting school, you want to make sure that you update your browsers. We don't recommend Internet Explorer Edge for Canvas, but any other browser that you might have on your devices, just make sure that you've updated to the most recent version of that browser. And you can use Google for instructions if you need help getting those updated, or you can even call IT support on campus. They are answering the phones right now. They're actually there, present. So you can give them a call, take down that phone number and keep it. And then they can help you with just, tech support questions. They can't do anything with your computer, but they can help you figure out what you can do to access what you need. And they can also help you get logged into Canvas. So you want to make sure that you actually can get into Canvas, and if you have problems logging in, make sure you call IT support and talk to them about that, because they're the folks that can help you get those issues fixed. And you want to get that fixed before you actually start your online classes. Don't add to your stress on that first day of class by adding one more issue. And then we invite you to attend one of our online Canvas orientations at the start of the quarter. When you log into Canvas on the first days of class, you'll see this sticky note at the top of the page, and it'll tell you about Canvas orientations. You just click into one at the times that it has posted, and we'll be going over basic Canvas navigation stuff. So we'll be talking about all the different features that you might need to use in Canvas, how to set it up for yourself to stay organized, and even using color coding in your calendar, things like that. And then another thing we'll do is we'll just go over quickly kind of steps to take when you're starting your online class, how to orient yourself to your courses and taking that time. We just talk about what you need to do to help yourself so that you're comfortable getting into the quarter and the next 10 weeks worth of work. We recommend that you plan a schedule and stay organized. We want you to set aside time for each class every day if you can. Just make time, dedicate it to specific classes. Don't try to do all of your classes in one sitting. Always try to keep them separate for yourself, especially at the beginning when things can get really confusing between your classes. You can use apps or software to stay on top of your due dates and deadlines. There's all kinds of things out there that you can find. They're just all over the place. Look at your app store, or you can Google online for different things. You can use Canvas. Canvas has tools within it that will help you stay organized. There's just all kinds of digital organization tools out there. But if you're a handwritten type of a person, think about buying things like a planner or a big calendar that you can put multiple due dates on the same date or something like that. Maybe even a whiteboard giving you, hey, this week I need to be paying attention to these things. Whatever tools work best for you to help you stay organized, to help you stay on top of those due dates. And then just make sure that you're looking in all of your classes, making sure that you know what things are expected of you each and every day. And then as long as you're doing something that helps you stay on top of that, whether that's writing it down on a whiteboard or making sure that that due date is marked in Canvas and showing up on your to-do list in Canvas and that you see it in there. That's great. We want you to be doing those sorts of things. And then last, I just want to make sure that you all know that we have student success coaches who are here to help online learners. We have groups in Canvas. We provide resources that you can access on your own time, but we also pop in and help you stay on track with things that maybe are not the primary pieces of attention that you need to be paying. They're not the things that help you get through your courses necessarily, but they help you stay on track to get into your next set of classes, like registration for the next quarter, things like that. So Caleb said that he was going to be getting some contact information from you all so that we could send you some more information about that and get in touch with you and get you assigned a student success coach, somebody to help you navigate, like I said, the business of being a student, making sure that you have somebody to ask questions all the time, that you have a phone number you can call and talk to a human being, an email that you can send, text messages, we do it all. All right, I'm gonna hand it back over to Caleb.
I just wanted to reiterate one of the things that Karen said about having a set schedule. I think that is so critical to being successful online for students, is to get in the habit of logging into Canvas every week or several times every week. A great thing about online classes is there is usually that flexibility during the week where, you know, you might have a day job or you might have kids at home and you might not be able to be logged in at a particular time of the day. You might, for your schedule, you might be better working in the evenings, you might be better working early in the mornings, you might be better working around the lunch hour, and you have that flexibility most of the time. But it is still super important to have that routine so that you're checking in on a regular basis, making sure you're staying on top of your assignment deadlines, making sure you're not missing any announcements or updates from your instructors. And 9 times out of 10, if you can have that personal routine and that personal schedule, you will be successful in these classes. They're not designed to make you fail, they're designed to make you successful. And your instructors are invested in your success. And your success coaches are invested in your success. They have success in their name. So we're all here to help you get through these classes and get some great knowledge and skills out of them and move forward with your education. But it is very important that if you're taking these classes, that you are present.
I was going to add that one of the things to remember when you're coming into school and you're taking these classes, that part of the whole point of this is that you're going to learn how to do these things. Your teacher is going to work with you. Maybe your first assignment will be kind of clumsy and awkward. It won't feel great, but then they're going to give you feedback. And with that feedback, you're then going to be able to apply those new skills to the next assignment that you do, and it's going to come out a little easier. And then the next one, after you get that feedback, it's going to be a little easier. And as you're moving through your degree program, you're going to find that that is just the way that this is going to go, that each and every class you take is going to be a mountain to climb, that you're going to be doing all this learning, but then you're going to be producing things that your teachers are going to be able to look at and then tell you, hey, you got this right, or hey, maybe you try this to work on improving this area that maybe you aren't as solid on. So don't get too wrapped up in your anxiety before you hit the classes, or even at the start of the classes. The first week is always really stressful because you're looking at 10 weeks worth of work on those syllabi that you're getting. But you have the time. You have the time, and you're gonna do great.
Yeah, and in the student success world, we talk about having a growth mindset a lot, which is just the idea that nobody's skills are fixed from birth. You're not born a good writer or a bad writer, or good at math or bad at math. Those are skills that you grow through practice and through trying things and through making mistakes and through learning from those mistakes. And that's why we have school. That's why we have college classes, is to help you grow those skills through trial and error and through effort and improvement. So having a growth mindset is critical. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. And I will talk to you later. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you.